this time. Oh. Yeah, I know, but she's going to give me the go. We good? All right. All right. Yeah, how do I turn that down? Holy cow. You don't need that much of me. Can you turn it down a little bit? Blue, yeah. All right. That better? All right, good. All right, well, welcome. Sorry we're a few minutes late here for some technical difficulties, but better late than never, right? So this is our monthly construction update. For those that don't know me, I've met most of you before, but I'm Sean Bluebum. I'm our senior project manager for Sundt, for the both Inspirata Pointe and the Vita Center project. And I brought with me one of our field superintendents, project superintendents you haven't met yet. This is David Turner. I'll let him introduce himself in a minute, but he is in charge. Last month, we had a lot of questions on the fund building, and David's in charge of the fund building. So I figured he is a good one to bring for this month. So, and then you also have met before. I brought back our tallest member of our team, Jacob Nunn. So he's got an iPad in case anybody has any questions that we need to look up on the plans or anything like that. So with that, we'll get started. So this is, I always show the rendering of what we're building because I think it's really cool to see something that is sort of two-dimensional on a drawing become reality. So this is what we are building, and this is what it looks like today. So getting really, really close to looking like a picture, right? A little bit different angle. I got to get on our drone pilot to get a little bit like this. But what you'll see, and we'll talk about over the past month, is we're really starting to get done with the structure and working towards getting done with the envelopes of the building. So that's really what stage we're at in most areas. Okay, so we'll start out with the safety share, like always, and then we'll go to a project overview and some current photos and talk about upcoming work. And feel free to ask questions throughout. No need to wait until the end. We love questions, so feel free to ask. So for a safety share today, we have something going on at Vita Center called potholing. So basically, when we pothole, we're trying to find what's under the ground without hitting and breaking what's under the ground, right? Nobody likes when a gas line or a water main gets hit. Matter of fact, 2 Fridays ago, a 12-inch main got hit that shut down all of the Wild Horse Pass Casino for about a half a day. I happened to have reservations for dinner that night, so I was texting, hey, do I need to change these? When's it going to be fixed? But yeah, so we don't want to hit stuff because it causes all kinds of inconveniences. So our safety share today is on vacuum trucks. So anybody seen or heard of a vacuum truck before? Okay, essentially, it shoots water and air and vacuums out holes so that we can see what's down there in a non-destructive fashion. And we happen to have one on site right now. So that is the vacuum truck at the Vita Center right now. So we caught that on the drone, so I thought it'd be a good safety share for today. But basically, it digs and moves soil, and we use it to locate utilities without breaking them. It's much safer. Cost savings, yeah, it's a little bit more expensive than somebody standing out there with a shovel, but it's certainly a lot cheaper than fixing a broken electrical line or gas line or water pipe. Right? It's quick. We can vacuum out holes pretty efficiently. Some of you may have seen when we first got out here, we did a lot of this by the garden homes to try to figure out what was over there, and it really is a pretty efficient operation. So that is, if you see that truck around, that's what we're doing. We're just exploring, trying to find what's under the ground. So that's our safety share. Any questions on that? All right, let's get to the update. Without further ado, I will let David here introduce himself, talk about why he works safe, who he is, where he comes from, all that kind of stuff, and what he's doing on this project. Go ahead,
Hello,
David.
everyone. Lots of smiling faces. Glad to be here today. I'm David Turner, as Sean has already told you. Born and raised on a farm. My dad had a 177-acre farm, and we farmed it with horses. We were not Amish, but we farmed it with horses. We did have electricity and cars, but we just didn't have tractors. And so when I got 18, I decided, hey, I've had enough of this. I've had enough of this. And so I pulled out and went construction, been doing construction ever since. And thinking I'd get away from my culture, from loving to grow things, eat from the ground, but I didn't. So the reason I work safe, first of all, multiple reasons, but the first reason is because of your sign at your entry door. Have you seen that sign at the entry door? Love yourself first because you have to spend the most time with yourself. So I work safe because I love myself and I'm allergic to pain. I don't like pain. So one of the reasons, and probably the most reason that I work safe is I don't like pain. I don't want to take a lot of time, but I could tell you a lot of stories where I didn't work safe and got hurt, but I survived it. I'm all in one piece, only missing just a little bit of a finger as far as I know. So, but that's one of the reasons why I work safe. And then at the screen is another reason why I work safe. You see the beautiful girl in the middle? Ain't she pretty? That's one of the reasons why I work safe, to come home to the people you love. And isn't that important? You better go home to the people we love and enjoy. The picture on the left is her and I, and then the 4 children. All of them are out of the house but the one in the middle, and this is her last year of college. So I've got a few years on me, so that picture's got a few years on it as well. The picture on the top right is actually was built. I built that in Texas. I work with Sundt, and I travel all over the United States. This is actually the first time I've ever worked in Arizona, the hometown for the team. But my last project, time before last, was Texas. Last I was California, but had 2.5 acres, and we didn't have to work Saturdays. And so, Sean, you know what I did.
Yeah, farm.
I farmed. And so I built a little stand, and then the guys at work, his wife does that kind of work. It made the signs. Sold fresh eggs. We sold vegetables. It was just a heyday for me. I loved it. So the pictures on the bottom are all actually was taken this past weekend. That's the garden that we have in Tennessee. That's where I live. Graciously, Sean lets me go home every other weekend. Normally leave on a Thursday, come back on a Sunday. And that gives me about 3 days, 2.5 days, if you count the nights, it's a little bit longer, to work my garden. So that's what I love. And, you know, different people have different preferences of where you want to be buried. I want to be buried in the garden.
Help the crops.
Hopefully make the crops grow.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's why I work safe.
Yeah, we're very lucky to have David. He, like he said, he lives in Tennessee, so he just go home every couple of weeks, and we appreciate him sacrificing all the time he's not at home to be out here helping us build. So we're lucky to have him. Why don't you talk to him just a couple seconds about what you do for the team, what your role is?
I do whatever they need me to do. Honestly, I feel privileged to be on this project. I never met Sean. I never met Todd, none of the team until I got here. It took me a few days to get acclimated, but I think it's the best team that Sundt has. And Sean, you don't have to disagree.
I agree.
But I am privileged to be able to build the most unique building out there. In my opinion, if I had my choice, I would have chose to do both D1 and D2. Number one reason why is that's where we're going to get our beer and that's where we're going to get our whiskey. And that's where you're going to get your good food. So it's exciting, very exciting.
So as we talked about before, we have our construction numbers for the buildings and then what the final ones will be. So our D1 and D2 is your fund building. Your F&G is what will be the final numbers. So he's in charge of the building with community room, restaurants, bar, all of that sort of stuff. like I said, we're lucky to have him and appreciate him coming out with us today.
Thank you, Sean. I'm glad to be here.
All right. All right, so let's talk about sort of a project update. I've got 2 drone videos. One is for Inspirata, and then a little bit shorter one for the Vita Center. So we'll kind of let it fly around, and I'll see what I can do to stop it every now and again, but may just kind of let it fly. All right. So we always start the villas. I was disappointed I didn't see people sitting out here in the video. So bills are open. We're pretty happy about that. Not pretty happy. We're thrilled. We're super excited. We think it's a great product, and we're very proud to have built it for all the residents there. So that's what you're seeing in the first part of the video. We finally got the last of our garage doors, so that's a big day. So we're excited about that. And the construction fence has moved. So now we're focused on the 3-story, which is buildings B and C, and the 4-story, which is building D and E. So here is, let me see if I can pause it. Well, let me do it. Oh, there we go. So this is B and C. And you can see, basically, we are framed, we are roofed, we have these posts for mechanical screens to hide the mechanical equipment and shield residents from the noise and just what they look like. And we're starting stucco. So that's a big deal, right? So we're dry on the top, like an umbrella, right? And now we're trying to get dry like a complete wrap of the building. So on the inside, what you'd see, because we're dry on the top, we can do drywall, we can do a lot of those things. But once we have all the stucco on and really the envelope on, that's when we can potentially shut doors and start our heating and cooling systems and all those sorts of things. So we have the envelope done. So B and C they're the next to open, so they're the furthest along. So they're starting stucco right now, actually this week. And they should be done with that base coat of stucco, I would say, about Monday-ish. That's what Jacob told me. So we'll hold him to it. So yeah, so that'll take about a week to get that going. Yes, sir. Yeah, the question was, are B and C still on schedule for November 18th? And the answer to that is yes. Yeah, we feel good about it. We have, early on we were having some challenges with learning the county requirements and some of those things. We've really started to forge a pretty good relationship, we think, with our inspectors and with the county, which after a year and a half I would hope so. But yeah, so we feel pretty good about where we're going with that. There are still supply chain issues, which we've talked about. So there are monthly allocations for concrete right now. There are monthly allocations for drywall right now. You can't just buy how much you need. You have to sort of figure out what you're allowed per month and then adjust your schedule accordingly. But we are loaded with all of our drywall in these buildings, which is what allows us to stucco. So we feel good about that. And then we have our underground storage unit, otherwise known as the parking garage, that's helping us get materials here too. Good question. See, it started over. That's what I didn't want to do. Okay. So again, here's the villas. So I'm going to let it play a little bit. I do have some still shot pictures too later on that I can stop on. So as it comes around and it starts looking at B and C, like I said, we're working on the envelope there, and logically, what would be next is a lot of that envelope is going to go to building D and E, right? And you say, well, but that's not the next one to open, but we are trying to flow roof and envelope from the 3-story to the 4-story building, and then we have separate crews that are doing a lot of that for the fun building. So you can see windows are in, patios are in. The concrete allocation has slowed some of the patios, but we're working through that. You can see in the middle, and I have some still shots of it, you'll see a backhoe digging. We are putting in underground water lines and plumbing for the water feature. right now, and there's a big giant vault. Here is the 4-story. You can see that's getting ready for stucco over here, and it's framed and roofed on the far end, the east end of that, and basically just following right behind the 3-story. Here's the last of our framing. They'll be done this month, topping out, and that will be the last of our structure, totally framed. So we're pretty excited about that. That's sort of the interior between D and E buildings. That's D, actually, all of D, then E. And then here is the fun building that we'll talk about a little bit more on some still shots. And I brought some floor plans and things for people to look at. So you can see we are also getting ready. The roof, we're getting ready to roof there. And then this is Den's glass material. That's the exterior drywall, basically, that's weatherproof and goes around the outside before we get stucco. And then there's the plumbing happening for the water feature right in the middle. And then here are columns for canopies in an area we call the donut, which is a open breezeway, covered walkway type of thing. If I'm going to keep this continuous, I got to tell Glenn to slow it down. I'm going to talk very fast. But yeah, so you can really see it all coming together, and it feels like a campus instead of just individual buildings at this point. All right, so I'll show you the Vita Center one, and then we'll get to some still shots, and we can talk about some of the individual buildings and where we're at. So this is the Vita Center. This is a hole where we're getting ready to start putting in storm tanks, big 8-10 foot tall corrugated metal pipe that you'll never see again, right? But takes all the water off the site. So those are getting ready to start mid-month, and then we're working on foundations, and we've got the basement, what amounts to the basement where the therapy pool goes, all placed. So I'll let this run for a second here. You can see here's where the pool goes, right in there. And then you can kind of see the rest of the building. You can see the turnaround is up here. And you're going to see lots of utilities starting in the next couple of weeks. So you'll also see some slab placements. We'll talk about that too, but we'll start. We're about out of the ground to where we'll start placing slab on grades there. Okay. Yes. Geez. The question is, if the storm tanks are metal, what is the rated lifetime? Well, they're metal, but they also protected. They sit in a bed, basically, and are completely surrounded with what amounts to like a felt and chips, right? Yeah, there's that. I have a picture from the Inspirata side, but it's basically a bed of picture like wood chips, pea gravel type of stuff, and then a big blanket, and then the pipe sits on it, and then more blanket, and then more chips, and then the dirt on top of that. So they never actually are in constant contact with the dirt. So as far as what exactly that lifespan is, I'm not sure what the number would be, but they're not meant to ever have to be replaced. Good question. Good question. Did you have a question too, sir? Oh, okay, perfect. So now that we got it stopped, you can kind of see it a little bit less action packed, right? So B and C with the roof on and the stucco starting, D and E down here. You can see 2 of the roofs are on. We've got 1 more roof to go once that framing is completed, which they have the trusses on site. I think I saw them there a couple days ago. So they'll be starting to put the roof trusses on that here in the next week probably. And then you can see when we last spoke, there was a big hole right here and there was a big hole right here. David filled those, right? So we're completely decked. and you'll see a couple of interior shots. We are going gangbusters with mechanical and plumbing and those types of things for the restaurants right now. So, and David just told me before we got here, we got our first arrival of kitchen equipment, right? So that stuff's starting to come in as well. All right, so some more specific photos to the buildings. This would be building, well, it's building B2 on our plan, so that would be your building B, right? BC. Yeah. No, C. You're building C, I'm sorry. You're building C. So this is right before we got ready to stucco. You can see the white foam is all on there, and it's now getting covered with stucco this week. And then on the inside, if you went in there, you'd see we have what they call pre-rock in the corridors, which is your upper layer of drywall. It all gets taped, fire caulked to create an interior envelope, and then below that, you can see we're running ductwork and plumbing and fire sprinkler and all the utilities. Again, you won't ever see that again because there'll be another drywall lid that goes and covers all that up. But before we can do all that, we have to put the pre-rock layer. So that'd be building C. Building B would be that guy, and it is just behind it. You can see waterproofing, Tyvek is what they call it, around the windows, and all the windows are in and we're scaffolded and we're getting ready to do that, to follow along with stucco through here. And then here you can see the columns and some of the water feature stuff getting installed. So I liked these pictures because they kind of show the courtyard area. We have all the plumbing in and it's being backfilled, and it's a big deal because there's a vault that houses all the equipment for the water feature that goes down about 10 feet deep, and it goes like right here. So if we don't get all that stuff in the ground now, it becomes increasingly problematic to get it in, right? Because we're trying to build the buildings around it. So we successfully got all of the piping through here in and inspected and backfilled, and are working through that end right there. And pretty soon, then it'll just be an infrastructure to where when we're ready to bring in the fountains and place all that, we can. And it's pretty cool when you stand out there. Like you stand in the middle, it just feels, all connected. So this would be what we call C North, but basically this is your D building. So you can see the framing just about done. If you looked inside, that's pretty much what it looks like. There's various levels of that pre-rock layer and mechanical, electrical, and plumbing and fire going in. Our focus is largely on the 3-story building right now since that's November. So there's a lot more activity going on in there until we get totally done with this structure and we can add crews to come over and take on this whole building. So, but this is moving right along and getting ready to have a barrage of plumbers and electricians in it as well. And this I really liked because we've gotten about done with the bridges, and they're pretty cool, right? So you got these open air pedestrian bridges that connect the buildings, and they're just really just nice looking, cool framing, right? And they did a really good job with them. So that also helps everything to feel connected. You can walk structure to structure at any level right now, and pretty neat. These two pictures I wanted to include because this looks like nothing, but what this really is this is where permanent power goes. So we are signed off, inspected, and up to here with permanent power, or with our infrastructure for permanent power, which means we're starting to set the gear. So the big switch gear that you see on campus that Gretchen and the team wrapped with desert wrap, that kind of stuff. We're putting those next to the building now because we're getting ready to have power here in the next month or two to at least localize to this location to where when we need it inside the buildings, we can turn it on. So that's a big milestone in our world to have that done. So that is all stuccoed and painted because we don't ever want to have to get back behind that switch gear again. Right? And then that picture seems like nothing, except for that little logo is European Techniques because those are kitchen cabinets being loaded into the garage. So we have gotten multiple semi-trucks and trailers loads of kitchen cabinets that are now down in the garage in an air-conditioned space that we built down there. I think there's another delivery this morning. 2? Yeah. So everybody that's in any of the buildings, B, C, D, and E, your cabinets are most likely here. Right? So it was something we had to do. Basically, we were notified last December, if you don't order them now, you may not get them, so we ordered them. So they're all down there. And this is our fun building, right? And so I'll let David talk about this a little bit. And David, I actually put in here for you. We'll come back to it in a second. Because I put in a couple of floor plans. Last month there was a request to sort of walk through, what goes where in this building. So we can do that this month. But generally speaking, we are, give just an overview of where we're at progress-wise and what's upcoming, David, if you would.
Okay, roofers started today, so we started drying in today. Take 13 days to do the big building where the kitchen's at, and 6 days to do the one to the north of there. Yes, the one Sean just pointed at, 6 days there, and then one to the left of there would take 13 days, and so then it'd all be dried in. You want an overview of about what's happening now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, perfect.
Okay. All the windows but one in D2 is installed. And that window would have been installed, but we weren't quite ready. So that'll happen next week, or not Thursday of this week, but not it'll be the following week. All the glass is in that building, and then starting Monday, the building D1, all of the windows will be in that building within the same week. We're probably at 90% of the ductwork complete in D2, probably about 40% in D1. Well, there you go. Okay. Some really high ceilings. You can do a lot of pull-ups in there, can't we? So let's see.
You can see
the fireplace.
Yeah,
yes.
that's what I was going to say. Here's the fireplace, right? Two-sided fireplace. Really cool. Yes. You can see we put tape on the glass so we don't run through it on accident. Yeah.
Yes. Fireplace will be set as soon as we dry in. We'll set the structure in, cover it up, and then drywall to it, and then, of course, get ceramic tile around it. So that maybe by next month when Sean does his presentation, you may get to see a picture of that.
Yeah, it'd be cool. So yeah, it's moving right along. Like I said, for us, we've got D1 and D2. It becomes the future F and G. Yes, sir. Well, I'm so glad you asked. So the question was, what's the actual location of the sports bar and the restaurant and grill in the building? Let me come back to that in just a minute. All right. So before we get to that, I did want to show a couple of shots of Vita. These are a little bit old. This is all backfilled now, but I thought everybody might be interested to see what the waterproofing looks like in a basement before we cover it up. So basically, we have a liquid applied waterproofing with a protection board and felt around it. That's all now totally backfilled and never to be seen again, but protecting the basement, right, on all sides. And then where we're heading with Vita is this slab will place first on this west side. And that, right now, we were scheduled for about today and June 7th, right in that area for that slab. We've actually pushed that back a couple of weeks. That'll be later on in June to allow us to get more infrastructure in before we place. What we were trying to do was place it while we still had a particular concrete crew on site, but we didn't quite get there. So we've now scheduled that for later in the month. And then this one will follow. We're working on still some basement and pool details and some of that infrastructure for drains and things like that. But that is basically Vita. So, on to your question. So I've got two slides here, one for D1, which is your G, and one for D2, which is your F. And basically, this is a current overhead shot of the building, and this is the floor plan for that section oriented in that same way. So David, you can kind of walk them through, but you can see that north half, classroom, hallway, lobby, office, that's all coming through here.
Okay. The most interesting room in here, and you'll all really love it, is this lobby. Your ceilings are 14'6" and have the big I-beams. That's really going to be really gorgeous.
Yep.
The entryways, these are, of course, double storefronts, lights, side lights, a little piece of tile on each side. That's going to be a picture frame to admire. Of course, you got your offices there, your electrical room, your mail room. I guess that might be very important to us too. So if you want your mail, that's where we'll get our mail. Let's see.
So that comes down here, right? So we've got sort of a breezeway between the two areas right in the middle there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were walking, let's say, where's the doors, David? So that's a big open classroom door. There's the lobby doors right here.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were coming in here, you'd come through the lobby, and the mail's over here, and the classroom's over here.
Notice the opening in the roof. It's not missing roof. You get a nice tree in there. So actually that's this area right here, a planter. And so when it's all said and done, you got a beautiful tree there going right out your roof.
It's going to be really cool. When you go through the models of it and everything, it's quite stunning, some of the features in this building. Yes.
Is that little square up there on the left, is that a sit-down area?
This?
The way to get into the restroom?
No. No, are you looking at the picture or are you looking at this? Oh, that's the electrical room. That big area is the electrical room. You will enter into the lobby, come through here, and of course, I'm speculating how you have it set up, Gretchen. Yeah. Then go into the breezeway, and then right into the bar area.
Yeah. So we'll show you that. So this is this half, right? So this is the F building. So David, kind of do the same. Walk them through where the bar is and the restaurant. I know it's hard to read, so
there's the hot spot. That's the bar. Yes. That'll be right here.
Right here. Right here. Mm-hmm. So for this floor plan is basically from here down. So this is classroom lobby. This is open breezeway, and then you come in and here's the bar right here.
Yes.
It does. It attaches to the casual dining right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, David, go ahead.
Oh, no, okay. Yeah, that's casual dining. Then you got the elevated dining, which will be really immaculate. That's a big word for me. Immaculate. The finishes in this area right here is just mind-boggling. It's.
I think the fine dining's up in the top right. There you go.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
This is casual dining, and I can't see because I'm too close to it. But casual dining, and then there's actually there's two dinings plus the elevated dining. Right? Now, I'm not sure, Gretchen, you'll have to guide us as far as placing their order for the kitchen, the process of how that works.
Sure. So we'll be doing table service in these dining venues and Indigo Kitchen. So just your waiter, your server, your waitress will come to the table and take your order and bring it to you in Indigo Kitchen, as well as your bartender will take your order in Copper Sky in the bar and bring you your food there should you order some appetizers or food there. And then, of course, fine dining, you can imagine the service in fine dining over at Azul. So the question was, what is the capacity of each of the dining areas? And so we actually have not laid out all of the tables yet. So we don't have a final number for capacity for the seating areas. We're close, though.
Yes, sir. So the question was the patio dining, and if there's a patio where you can sit outside and dine.
So I can show you where that is.
Yeah.
The patio dining. So the main entrance to Indigo Kitchen is going to be right here. So you'll come in here just to enter the main building. This will be your main entry point where you can come in and either go into the lounge, into Copper Sky, or come into Indigo Kitchen, which takes up all of this. It's almost L-shaped. And so the patio dining there would be tables out in this breezeway right here. in front to the west of the building.
If you want to show them the roof, the footage to the left,
So it would be,
yeah, that's all
it
of
would be
that.
here.
Yes. Mhm.
This would be west.
The other thing you've got, so you've got some panda wall type of things, so the folding indoor outdoor walls, right? You've got those. David, where's the fireplace on here?
Right here on the floor plan, right there.
Perfect. So,
Mhm.
so I always think it's cool to see it. This is obviously in 2 dimensions. Then if we go back a little bit, that's
There you
it in
go.
reality, right? It's
Mhm.
pretty neat.
And that's
That-
actually the big lobby.
Yeah.
Remember the big lobby I spoke of? It's 14-foot-6 ceilings. Well, that's the big lobby.
All right. Anything else we want to talk about on this building?
Is that floor plan something we can get off the internet?
So the question was, is the floor plan something you can get off the internet? No, but I don't know what you've got as far as if you got renderings or if you've got something, a layout anywhere on there.
We don't have the question was, is the floor plan available on the internet? And it is not available on the internet. We don't have a floor plan. All of our renderings are just of the rooms,
Yeah,
of the spaces themselves.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I don't know. No, there's not something available like that. But
Really hard for me to get a visual with all that other stuff.
yeah, it is. And believe it or not, this isn't our active one. This is the one that's from when we started, because our active one has questions and notes and clarifications and stuff all over it that make it even busier. So, but this was the clearest one that I could find. So we can always take, if need be, if Gretchen wanted something, we could take a snippet of it or something like that. Okay.
Does everybody? Oh, go ahead.
When is it going to open? It's the question about when it's going to open. Yes. So we will turn it over in November, the same time as the B and C buildings. However, there's a lot longer startup typically for a building of this nature, because you've got to get it ready to serve, right? So so I don't know when it'll actually open, but it'll be sometime after November.
Does everybody like pizza?
Yeah.
Like pizza? There's your pizza oven.
Nice.
So it's all covered in tile, so it'll be really, really attractive.
All right, good. All right, so here is the slide that I try to keep updated for this every month. The villas are turned over, B, C, and F, and that's now F and G, so I need to update that, is November of this year, and then D, E, and Vita are March of next year. So. As far as any other upcoming work, we've got a lot of the site infrastructure in right now, and that's actually become one of Todd's big focuses right now, is going ahead and finishing and getting the rest of that in. That was something that Lance, if you remember Lance, he was doing. Lance is retired, and got the basic infrastructure in. So now Todd's taken over focus on other than the project as a whole, on making sure we get the rest of that in and get ready for our fountains and everything else, and all of our tie-ins. So, what else? I think that's about the update on everything. You'll continue to see windows over the next month and stucco. Yes, sir.
Is there room for visitor parking?
The question is where the visitor parking is, and I don't know. Do you want to take that, Gretchen?
So visitor parking. There are golf cart spaces and there are car spaces all along here. there's a driveway in here, but there's some spaces here, there's spaces along here. You know, the fence line, when they move the fence, you can still, if you drive down the road in front of the village, you can actually see that the parking curbs are already there. We just can't access the spaces right now.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, so that's a good question. So, and if you were to walk into my office, we have that marked out on a plan. But essentially, it goes right around the 4-story building. It does, yeah, yeah. It sort of encapsulates around the 4-story. We'll have to. It'll be in here somewhere, right? And kind of do this number. But yeah, it'll be as tight as we can do it and still give ourselves some room to build, but give as much campus as we can to everybody for B and C and F and G. Oh, over on that end,
Yes, there is some parking to the west of Building C.
And what about D&E?
As far as visitor parking, is there some spots along here, Jacob?
I can't remember how many.
Okay, so the question was visitor parking for D and E, and that's why Jacob's got the iPad over there, right? But yeah, there's some spots along that south road. Yes. The question was the road for underground parking. It connects right here, right? We have a south road coming around, and then we have what used to be a south cul-de-sac coming through here. So it loops the entire campus. Did that answer your question? So the main entry will be where everything is secure over here, and then you can come along the north side and it loops around, or you can come in through the south side and through the south road into that parking garage. But all the entry is still at the main Royal Oaks entry. Yes, ma'am? So the question was, how many visitor parking spaces are there in total? And we'll have to look that up. Can you look that up?
There's 16 on the south side of the D building.
So 16 on the south side of the D building.
There's 10 kind of on the west side of the
Up there?
10
Okay.
on the west side, 10 parking spots.
26. Remember 26 so far.
And then 10 more kind of on the west side of the C building.
10
Okay.
more on the west side of the C building.
And then there's about 20 along that road just south of the village.
Or, right
20
here.
on the Villa Road.
And then there's 18 golf cart spaces kind of just
Over here?
North of,
18 golf cart spaces right near Building F.
So by my math, that's 56 regular parking spots and 18 golf cart spots. 12 at the dog park, so 68. So
the one south is kind of just
right here.
And
There's some along here. This whole road along here, kind of like the villas, has some spots on it. Good question. Yes, ma'am. Take that.
So the question was, are the outdoor ground level parking spots designated just for visitors so that residents do not park there? And just as we do with our front parking, everybody parks there, they drive, they park there to go to the restaurant. Sometimes for a reason they park there overnight. So we feel there are plenty of spots to accommodate all of the parking, in addition to the 141 vehicle spots in the parking garage and the 31 golf cart spaces in the parking garage. I think most residents will choose to park in the parking garage because it's cool. It's cooler. It's protected from the sun and the elements.
Yeah. It's significantly cooler down there. If you walk down there right now, it is. There was another question.
I was going to ask about resident golf cart parking in the garage. See,
There are 31 golf cart spots. Some are plug-in and some are not.
Elmer, you had a question? Oh. So the question was, one of the villas apparently had some water issues where people had to brush their teeth with hot water. That's not ideal. Yeah, as far as I know, that's been addressed. Everything that comes through. So it's a good question. So when you get your units, there is a process for warranty, right? Because it transfers from construction to then warranty. And Royal Oaks has a system called Works Hub. It works really well. And so anything like that that happens goes to Darren and his team, and then it's input. If it's a warranty issue like that sounds like it probably is for us, then we get it via Works Hub. And either Todd or Sarah or one of our team typically reaches out to the resident and comes and checks it out. So we would like all of that stuff resolved as soon as we can once we find out. But at the very minimum, we should be making contact, same day or the next day that we get a request with the resident, at least so they know what's going on. To me, yeah. Okay. Okay. So the question was about the timeliness of the response.
So I'll take that question,
Yeah.
Sean. Sure. So the process that we're going through for the villas that have opened is that we're putting the calls into Paula at facilities, and she's turning them over to either the facilities department, who will be fixing them themselves, or if it's a warranty issue, over to Sundt. And so it's just a matter of scheduling. And if you have an item that you've reported to Paula that hasn't been addressed, you can follow up with Paula or let me know, or Darren. Darren's also here, and we'll make sure that gets taken care of for you. But everything is being scheduled accordingly to the number of staff we have on staff at the moment and parts that are available, et cetera.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. Thank you, Gretchen. That there are times when an item is, say, an appliance that's not functioning properly, and those obviously they take longer because we have to get a new, we have to get a new one, or we have some time constraints on there. But ideally, we would respond as quickly as possible. And I keep constant contact with our team that's dealing with that. So it does get to me if it is a construction warranty item. And Darren, in general, I feel like it's been working pretty well.
Yeah, so far it's working very well.
Thank you. Yeah, so far it's working really well. We work very closely with Sundt, and they've been very responsive. But just to echo what he said about materials, a lot of times that's what the delay is just depending on what item is that we're waiting for. But if you have any questions about any of the work orders that you've put in, please call Paula, because she'll be very responsive to get back to you. And then, of course, I'm always available too. My email and phone number to my office is available to you, so you can always contact me as well.
Mentioned too, it's also based on priority. This morning, you may or may not know, we had all the guys in maintenance were all hands on deck going around and resetting the air conditioning units. So, we had to turn those off overnight for a period of time. And so getting into all the residents' homes today was very important. So it's also based on priority level. Air conditioning is pretty important.
Getting more so
Important this
by
time
the
of
day.
year, yes.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, jeez. Well, and what unit are you in? A208. Okay. you know, I'm not sure because I don't know what the problem that they found was. I don't know if they had a problem with an expansion tank or if they had a problem with a valve or something like that. But what I can tell you is I can look into it and see where that's at. No problem. So the question is on the villa's windows, are they one-way glass so you can see out but nobody can look in? I would say I don't know if they're pure just one-way glass, but they're difficult to see in, right? They're tinted and they're not meant to be super translucent on the way looking into them, but looking out you can see just fine. Well, I guess that it sort of depends on where it's. I'm sorry. The question was to feel totally comfortable that nobody can see in. Do you need some sort of shade up in front of the windows at the units? And I would say the answer is there are shades in a lot of places that Royal Oak's provided in those units, and then it also depends on, you know, they're configured in a manner that a lot of the windows don't face anywhere where somebody could see in. So it kind of depends. In myself, walking in those units, I've never thought that, oh, the whole world can see in, but I think if there was some concern over that, I'm sure Royal Oaks would, you know, address that in some nature. It's kind of a roundabout answer because I don't know exactly where you're talking about, but they're not super easy to see in. Yes, sir. That's correct. So it would really be it would be kind of from the street or from, you know, and then once you get an elevation, you really can't see in those things. Yes, sir. Yeah. That's a good point. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir. Okay. Why are the lighting in the hallways of the villa so bright at night? You're talking in like the breezeway in front? Is it really? Okay.
Yeah, so I can address that one. It's about the lighting in the breezeway over at the villas. That is all controlled by computer, and so we are working on actually setting a new schedule for that, but also too, maybe there's a lighter, no pun intended, fixture that we can put in there to kind of soften up the light just a little bit. Yeah, just a schedule change. That's going to make the biggest difference. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I'm fully aware of that. We're working on that. Absolutely.
All right. Any other questions, comments? All right. I know we have some additional slides we want to talk about.
Yeah, if you're all finished with the construction update.
Yeah, that's all I have,
Yeah,
unless
okay.
anybody else has any other questions. Yes, sir.
I realize you can't fly the drone down into the garage, but just a still photo or two.
Yeah, yeah, and we had one last month of the storage area. I'm sorry. Thank you. The question was a still photo or two from down inside the garage, and if we could include that next month. And the answer is absolutely yes. And the only reason we can't fly the drone is because the signal won't through the garage. Because we've tried, but yeah, we can definitely put some in. We have a 360 camera, 360 camera, so we take a lot more pictures than even what the drone has here. So we can get some for next month, for sure. All right. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.